In the realm of journalism, where truth is pursued with unwavering determination and stories shape the world, one name stands tall: Ayesha Khanam. With over a decade of dedicated service at Doordarshan News, Ayesha Khanam has established herself as a beacon of excellence in reporting and anchoring. From covering the Sri Lankan conflict to elections across 11 Indian states, her journalistic expertise is unmatched.
संवाददाता आयशा खानम
जालिया हमारी संवाददाता आयशा खानम ने
Her contributions have not gone unnoticed, honored with prestigious awards like the Tipu Sultan Award for Impartial Reporting and the Indira Gandhi Award. Aisha Khanam's commitment to truth and integrity shines brightly. Having worked closely with prime ministers and on international assignments, Aisha's professionalism and dedication have earned her respect from all quarters. Her fearless reporting during critical events such as the Telangana agitation and the war in Sri Lanka has set new standards in journalism. Today, Aisha Khanam marks another milestone in her illustrious career as the first woman chairperson of Karnataka Media Academy, paving the way for future generations of journalists. Aisha Khanam, a name synonymous with leadership, integrity and excellence in journalism.
कैमरामैन सुरेश के साथ आयशा खानम, डीडी न्यूज़, बैंगलोर।
First thing, congratulations, ma'am,
Thank you.
for becoming the chairperson of Karnataka Media Academy. Ma'am, first question I want to ask you is, what is this Media Academy and what they do, what are the roles and how they are selected?
Thank you, Abu, for calling me here on Salar, and thank you all the Salar viewers for watching me. Karnataka Media Academy is a very important aspect in connecting journalism to academics. You know, it's an academy where the journalists already in the field will be fine-tuned, especially in rural areas, the youngsters and those who don't have access to bigger publications or bigger newspapers. So they are fine-tuned. It is an academy which enhances their skill, which gives a vision to what they want to do, and which recognizes senior journalists for their contributions, which kind of creates a sense of inspiration from the seniors to juniors. So that is why that award functions in Karnataka Media Academy is very important. So this is one big aspect, and besides that, it also has to look into the publications of the senior journalist and the publications relevant to journalistic field and also the state, and give equal representation to all the languages, promote all the languages in an equal manner. These are the visions, that is the agenda of academy. And I also feel that the academy has underplayed its role on improvising the journalism institutions, connecting and synergizing the journalistic institutions to create more bright journalists, to give them more training. So this is where we need to tap the journalism schools, journalism institutions. Many are closing down now, which is a cause of worry, because many senior journalists will lose their job. Many youngsters will not have journalism schools to go. So this is one of the biggest worry that we need to look at Media Academy now. So since it is an academy, so it revolves around the academic aspects of journalism.
Ma'am, how the process of selection happens, ma'am?
It is since it's a state academy, it's a government body. It's a body wherein the government nominates 4 members, including the president. Then the secretary is from the Department of Information and Public Relations. So there is one secretary appointed. So besides 4 members nominated by the government, there are other bodies. There are like Karnataka Working Journalist Union, who nominate 5 journalists to this. Then there is Indian Federation body, which nominates 2, then women journalists nominate 2. So this way there are about 23 members nominated by different bodies. So it is actually a collaboration of all the journalists in different fields. Print, say then they are from print, they are from an equal representation to gender, then also equal representation to regions. So this way all the members are nominated, the executive body is formed, and the president is mostly an honorary post, but the secretary conducts most of the meeting. The secretary plans the budget, and the members come with plans and proposals. So the government gives a budget every year. So we have to work within that framework and the budget.
Ma'am, if I'm not wrong, you are the first woman president and appointed by the Karnataka Media Academy. So it's a big achievement for a woman.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an honor, and it gives me a sense of pride. And I'm really thankful to the Chief Minister Siddiqh and also Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Kumar, who chose me and approved my name. Though there were many senior journalists, the senior women journalists also, but somehow I was a bit luckier. So I'm very proud of this fact. I've always been in the forefront in the field also. Whenever there is something, lesser representation about women, or when there is no chair for women in a press conference, I've been raising my voice. So that is a different matter. Now, when I'm given a responsibility of heading an academy, I actually got a little nervous, but I know I will, get to know my role, take up my responsibility seriously. I'll get down to work and, fulfill the expectations of the people who appointed me and also the journalist fraternity.
Ma'am, so far in journalism industry, it could be print and put together television also. I mean, you have done almost 26 years of your experience. Getting into journalism, was your passion, or like how was it? Because today what we see in industry is like, especially when it comes to journalism, two things are very important. One is by choice, another one is by chance. So was it yours was choice or chance?
No, it is my choice. Right from my childhood, I was interested in writing. Writing was my passion. So I think perhaps I'll become a writer, or something like William Words. I used to read poetry also. It was my passion, but somehow my mom wanted me to be a doctor, but I didn't succeed. Because obviously, when it is not your passion, you will fail in maths. True. So that was the worst thing that happened to me. But then when I couldn't get into medical institutions, so my parents, let me choose my choice. Then I did my mass comm. So I could pursue my passion in this.
In fact, viewers, I need to tell Ayesha Khanam is my super senior in Bangalore City Department of Mass Communication, and she has been my guest faculty. I still remember when you were working Star News, you used to come to college to take interviews, and in fact, she has been a guest lecturer, and I've been following her stories from way back. One story was an attack in Tata, the terrorist attack.
ISC, the first one to reach
that was
there.
Thing that made me.
Yes.
And ma'am, how was the response when you told your parents, like, no, your mother wanted to be a doctor? How was the response from your father? Because your dad also comes from he's a government officer.
Yes.
He was.
Yes, he's a retired government officer. But thanks for acknowledging, the fact that you've heard my lectures. And I must also acknowledge that, Abu is a Ramnath Goenka awardee, and he's such a brilliant cameraman. And I had this wish to work with Abu. I wanted him as my colleague, but luckily today I'm talking to him. We're having a chat on camera. That's the best thing happening.
It's lucky.
Yeah, so my parents were very confident about me. They knew that, I was pretty decent in my studies also, and I was kind of a person who had that sense of responsibility right from childhood. So when I chose this field, my father was little finicky. Ye kya kar rahe ho? Do IAS, do UPSC, do some bank exams. So my father's dream was that I should become IAS. My mom's dream was I should become doctor. But then they knew that, whatever I take up, I do it with passion. I do it with dedication. And also a sense of discipline that my parents have instilled in us. Jo kaam karo, usko pura karo. You do it to its best end. And do it with dedication. So when I decided that I'll do mass communication, my parents were open to the idea, but they were a little scared. What happens in journalism? People threaten you. There may be risk factors, so they worried about that. But slowly they saw that I overcame all these things, and then they were very happy with the choice of me in this field.
And in fact,
they're very proud of the fact.
And in fact, I saw the happiness on your father when he come yesterday.
Yeah,
he was so happy. In fact, I had an interaction with him.
Yes.
It was fantastic.
He always wanted me to be a government officer. Finally, I'm at least, government bodies chairperson.
Yeah, chairperson. Ma'am, if I'm not wrong, you started your career in 80s. And those days, the technology...
90s.
90s, sorry. Yeah, I mean, those days the technology was not that
Yeah.
good. Like, for example, we didn't have WhatsApp.
Yeah.
There was no much of Facebook was there, but like, we didn't.
No, there was Orkut.
Orkut.
Remember?
Yeah,
there was
yeah,
Orkut.
yeah. So how did you manage to break the stories? Because right now we have WhatsApp. Like, I
Yeah.
can get information from anywhere.
Yeah.
Those days, how was it?
It was very tough those days because, when the channels became 24 hours, only then we had this competition of breaking news. Till then, it was, news as features, and we did a lot of feature stories. But the 24-hour channels made our life miserable. So those days, we had this phone calls, we had a feed system, and we also had, to run around, hand over the tape at the airport so that it reaches on time to Delhi. We've done all sorts of things, and we've seen how this feed system, the feed which goes to the newsroom, starts from BSNL feed rooms, Reliance feed rooms, and then finally we have our own servers. So we've gone through all the transition of technology, but those days were challenging. When there was no technology, we were not in that breaking news mad rush. Only in the breaking news mad rush, I think, that also improvised the technology, and there we adapted to the technologies. We had those fat, thick cell phones.
Yes.
We also had pagers. That was the time we used to, sometimes page our stories and disappear. Okay, I've done my story. This is the story coming. So, my chief reporter in Asian Age, Nazreen Bhura, she's been one of my best mentors. So she used to call up early morning for some story. She would see in a newspaper, follow up this story, and she would send the message thrice.
Okay.
And we're like, what is this pager? We never wish that pager was there, but we would be caught. We had to do the story. So we would get the message, we would do the story, then go to office. So that's how, we use the technology to our limitations, and also we worked as per the technology demand. So right from pagers to what we have today, technology, AI technology, we've used the technology in different stages.
Ma'am, you just now spoke about the breaking news concept. I mean, those days it was not much of breaking. When you mean breaking news, it was actually breaking news. But today, the kind of breaking news what we say is like, nonsense news becomes a breaking news. And, how do you think today's performance of journalists in actual media right now?
Well, Abu, we shouldn't criticize our own fraternity. I mean, our own.
No, it's not about all my. We do have good, ma'am. Every place.
No, they should have self-regulation. It is embarrassing to see, what they do. I'm saying, obviously we shouldn't tell them what they should do, but it is really embarrassing what they do, isn't it? Sometimes you feel embarrassing on the field. What is this news? You're calling it as breaking. When a politician enters somebody's house, it's breaking news. He came to his house, breaking news. He left his house, is also breaking news. So which is very funny. So breaking news has lost its relevance. So I think that's where you lose credibility. That's why we are somewhere losing the respect for journalists, because people in the run-up to breaking news, and also some new commercial establishments have come, and the ownership of media has changed. Every politician has a channel now. Yeah. So the ownership has also changed. So it means business. So those things have kind of complicated our field. It is really embarrassing that we are stooping to this level, and sometimes we feel sad that we are losing respect as journalists. So therefore, that's what I say. I always wish back to olden days with new technology. Go back to the old school of journalism, but use new technology.
Ma'am, do you think journalists have the freedom to work? Because what happens is, if I've been deputed here in Bangalore, I do have a person sitting in office. It could be input, and because what is happening right now, what I've witnessed, people who sit in office, they really don't know the exact the problem of a journalist, what he's facing on field. Sitting over there, wo chala diya. If for example, A channel is running the story, B channel running the story, if you don't have, they ask him, jaldi bhejo, jaldi bhejo.
Yeah.
Things like that, because the person who sits in the input should also, I personally feel he should have the knowledge of field reporting. What do you say about this, ma'am?
No, it depends. It's a mixture. It's a mix of people, There are experienced people also sitting on those positions. There are people sitting with some responsibilities on those positions. For them, perhaps, their responsibility matters more than what the reporter is going on the field. So it's a mix of journalists, but I feel that a person trained, well-trained, a journalist should sit on the output desk as well.
True.
So input and output are the two, sides of a coin, which will make the best, content for a news channel. So trained and experienced journalists should handle the journalists on field. That's what I feel, and I've always been, I've always been telling newsrooms also, put senior people in the output team, so those who know news, not just you send something. And even sometimes we complain about edits. We send a lot of footage, only 2 shots go on air, which upsets the person on the field. So for us, it is like what we work on the field is important for them. Their time and their deadlines are important. But this should not happen. There should be good coordination and synergy between the journalist and the output people.
Ma'am, the word journalist, the word press, the word reporter, the word special correspondent, as we have the names. Today the scenario is like, today the social media influencers, social media so-called YouTubers, so-called a lot of other people, they think by just having a phone, by just having a mic, they are journalists. They can think revolution kar dunga main. Revolution is not possible.
It's not possible.
So what's the message for those kind of people, who think everybody is a journalist. They have a phone, they just start reporting nonsense. Do you think they should also get some basic education of journalism? Do you think somewhere here the education of journalism is important? People, for example, you have done your masters, you have done a BA journalism, then masters. I've done the same thing. Important for them also.
See, those who think they are all journalists are not journalists. I would say that boldly, because if you want to think I'm a journalist, I can do this. I can overnight change. That's not journalism. A proper journalist, a true journalist, will hide his own identity and go and get the story. If somebody knows that a journalist is there, the story may change. So it is not necessary to flaunt that you're a journalist. It is important to understand the story and make a story, content, narrate your story. That is more important than flaunting that you're a journalist and you can change overnight. So that is what the youngsters are doing these days, coming out with a mic. So therefore, my advice to these people is that they should go to the basics of journalism. What they learn in school is a different thing. What they come out is a different. So perhaps the syllabus also should be, changed in a way where they get hands-on experience of what the industry expects of them. So by the time they come to the field, it takes at least 3 years or 4 years for them to learn. So I feel that the syllabus and the students coming out should be coming ready for the field. More of practical, yes, on-hands experience.
I personally have experience in mass communication. We have models of communication.
Yeah.
To at present scenario, it is nowhere used.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So.
But these things make you, it makes you intelligent sometimes. You may not use the research methods which we use in university, but somewhere when you're doing some story, you recall that. I did science. साइंस में मैंने जो पढ़ा, केमिस्ट्री में फर्नेस के बारे में पढ़ा, सीमेंट कैसे बनती पढ़ा, इंडस्ट्री में क्या क्या वो पढ़ा मैं. बट व्हेन आई एम समवेयर डूइंग अ स्टोरी समथिंग अबाउट अ ब्लास्ट, आई रियलाइज, आई रिकॉल कि केमिस्ट्री में क्या क्या रिएक्शन होते हैं, किस तरह का केमिकल रिएक्शन क्या ब्लास्ट दे सकते. समवेयर दैट नॉलेज इज यूज्ड समवेयर. यू हैव टू keep your learning and utilize it to the right, utilize it in the right manner. It makes you intelligent. It makes you, okay, I know this subject, I know this topic.
Ma'am, your best news coverage, what you personally feel, ma'am? One was Dr. Rajkumar incident, and other one was Sri Lanka.
LTT war.
Tell us about Rajkumar, because he's very close to us from Karnataka.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Rajkumar's kidnap kind of, put me on the national map in Aaj Tak. And Aaj Tak had just launched. It was just 3 months of Aaj Tak, it was launched. Yeah. And then we heard Dr. Rajkumar kidnap, and Aaj Tak constantly covered this Dr. Rajkumar kidnap stories, and that kind of gave me an identity. So I'm always indebted to Dr. Rajkumar that I got my identity from that story. A lot of journalists, other journalists also in NDTV, that time there was Z News and NDTV, they also constantly reported. So Dr. Rajkumar's kidnap was one of the biggest crime story that we have all reported, and it was one of the best thing that Karnataka that journalists could portray the state as well, because that time even Dr. Rajkumar's kidnap and simultaneously the Kaveri issue was also another issue that time, because we used to have constant conflict with Tamil Nadu for releasing water, and even Veerappan used to keep demands release water, I'll release the Dr. Rajkumar. So that kind of brought Karnataka itself on the national map. Karnataka was not a newsy state, but from then onwards, from that crime story, it became a very newsy state, newsworthy state, so a lot of inputs, a lot of bureaus started in Karnataka. So I think that story was one of the highest point of my career besides the LTT and the space stories, which I've always enjoyed.
How was the response of your parents, especially when it comes to Dr. Rajkumar's coverage and LTT? How was they? What were they feeling like?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Were there any calls used to?
Yeah, they were quite scared, and that time because I was young, I was younger what I am today, and they were very scared what I am doing. But they would always follow me on TV. If I'm in Mysore, if I'm in Kollegal, if I'm chasing Dr. Rajkumar's story in BR Hills, so we would do lives in between. We would have a OB van with us.
Yeah.
So my mother would sit in front of television channel and she would track me. Oh, she's here, she's doing live from here. So she's in Kollegal now, she's in Mysore now. There are times we've spent midnight, nights in forests in chase of Veerappan. We used to get information from STF saying that Veerappan is just so many miles away, so many kilometers away. So we would in pursuit of getting it first, we would chase the story. There were landmines in forest in somewhere near BR Hills or somewhere, and we were told, the villagers told us, don't move ahead because there are landmines that he has put. Veerappan didn't want people to come that side. So we spent the whole night in car, me, ETV crew, and one more television, Udaya TV, I think. All the television crew, we spent whole night in car, It was so challenging. My parents were literally scared. My mother, but she was very smart. She used to track me, कि यहाँ से live देगी तो यहाँ पर. And if I'm not seen on my channel, she would track Kannada channels and find out, what is the update on those channels. So if the Kannada channels are saying some update, she would understand that, okay, ye wahi kar rahi hu, she must be doing the same thing. So that's how my parents got confidence, and also they got used to my routine. Thanks to them, thanks to my mother, whatever I am today is like because of her confidence and because of my father and my sisters. My family has been very supportive of me. They have been very supportive of me.
Ma'am, in your career, you have covered two major events. For us, it looks like a major. For you, it's a routine news story. The Prime Minister of India, Manmohan Singh, and the President, Prime Minister of India. How was that? When you go on field, you take a call on the kind of stories you do. Again, how it works out now?
See, as I said, Doordarshan is a national public broadcaster. They work in a framework. They work with an agenda to inform the public with a propaganda wherein the Doordarshan's role is to keep the public informed with regard to the country's progress, with regard to development stories. So we work in that framework. Be it Manmohan Singh or Prime Minister Narendra Modi, it was a matter of pride, reporting also accompanying the prime ministers, talking to them one-on-ones, off the camera when they are around us. So it's a matter of pride, especially the international news. Even the opposition doesn't criticize prime ministers when they go other countries. So it gives you a sense of huge pride when you're outside, and whenever there is national anthem played, when the prime ministers are about to start their meetings, the national anthems are played at cultural events. That is where you realize, how great our country is.
Like a goosebump.
How it gives goosebumps, especially when I went to China and South Korea with PM Modi. The national anthem played, and you realize your country's greatness, So this has given me a lot of opportunity and wide exposure. And international level, we as a country, we report as a country. We don't pinpick small issues or petty issues. So we are projecting our country at international level. So that was a high point with Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. That was his last tour as Prime Minister. The day he returned to India, we all returned in the same flight. He was on board with us. So those days, reporters were allowed on board with Prime Minister. He returned to India, there was code of conduct and elections were announced. So that was his last tour, and I am very lucky that I got to accompany him, and I reported BIMSTEC meet.
Ma'am, how do you see, transformation, Ayesha Khanam, aggressive Ayesha Khanam in national media, and Ayesha Khanam shifting to a public broadcasting? Do you think, did it take some time for you to change?
Yeah.
Because you are very aggressive in Star News, in Aaj Tak, when it comes to stories.
No, aggression is for the stories,
Yes.
to get the work done when your work is not happening, push yourself to meet your deadline. So aggression was meant for that, but it looked like Ayesha Khanam is like, here with swords and all. It was not so. The aggression continued, my friends would tell better about me and my personality, but in Doordarshan, it was like things work patiently. You don't have to don't have to break your head. Don't have to,
There's no concept of breaking news.
There is concept of breaking news, but accurate and at your speed. You need not just hit and run.
Yeah.
If you're breaking news, give a follow-up story, give a proper facts, give background of that. So there is a format in Doordarshan. So I kind of my patience level kind of went higher. I used to say that I have become Buddha in Doordarshan, but I was not. My friends tell me, my cameramen tell me that they were patient with me because my approach to the work did not change. I mean, the same aggression, I kept my aggression same. So they had to put up with that. So I'm really thankful to my colleagues who really, put up with my speed. But they all were very good that, they were patient with me.
Ma'am, as the technology is changing, we have seen a lot of technology. I mean, there's day by day there's an update in the technology, and today we see artificial intelligence, and we do also have news anchors.
Yeah.
They're not into main story coverage or maybe news reading for political, for basically for weather report and all that. So, how do you think? What could be the future, ma'am? Technology-wise, are they going to AI will grab the job or like take away jobs from the people who are in the real industry working hard day and night?
It will certainly reduce the number of people working in a newsroom, because how AI, even though it is being used as anchors for weather reporting and weather bulletins, it will certainly reduce the workforce, but it will never replace journalists. It will never replace the journalist. So that we have to be confident about. So use you, because you are using the technology, you are switching on the technologies. Even then, there is a human interface to that. So I'm sure that the journalists will not replace the AI, but yes, the technology will improvise the newsrooms and the situations. The kind of technology we are using. So this will perhaps make our newsrooms better if we integrate the technology with experienced journalists and with experienced journalism that the senior journalists have been practicing. So I think good days ahead with new technology and even new blood coming with more ideas, and young journalists will be able to utilize this better and make the newsrooms more newsworthy and more professional.
Ma'am, especially in electronic media, when it comes to a television reporter and a camera person, they say they both should have a very good bonding. To give
yes,
a very
absolutely.
good news. If in case small difference between the story gets killed.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've seen you from one of my good friend called Prasanna. I mean, Star News, you both have done a fantastic job. So how important a role of a camera person or a video journalist plays in a story for a television?
It is very important. You asked me the very right question where I can talk more about my colleagues who have worked with me so far, and it requires a same level of thinking for the cameraman and for the reporter, for the journalist. And also the cameraman needs to be a video journalist, not just switch on the camera and sit down. The cameraman needs to think of the story. The cameraman needs to know, needs to have a bonding with the colleague, with the reporter. Prasanna, my cameraman Prasanna, you mentioned, we worked together for 15 years. Yeah. And he knew what my next move would be. If I am saying something, he knew what my next line would be. So that kind of rapport is very important. We used to have differences over issues, we used to have differences over the framing, and this is the cameraman who would make me work and rework more, and sometimes I would do more retakes, so he would get irritated. So a lot of things happened, but the rapport and his focus on the story never changed. For him also, the best story should come out. For me also, the best story should come out. And I would see from his expression, from his face, that he's not happy with this shot. Okay, theek hai, I'll do it again. Good. So that was the kind of rapport we would have. We should respect the person behind the camera as well. That's what I learned, And working with professionals like Prasanna, and also with several DD senior cameramen, there were a lot of different learning experience. A lot of senior cameramen in DD also have, they are very well versed in their skill, but their approach and their kind of technology is different. So I learned a lot with that technology also. So having a good team, a good story is possible only if you have good rapport with the cameraman, and that is a good team. And you know it very well. That's why you are a Ramnath Goenka awardee.
Ma'am, television is all about, it's a teamwork. It's about like, I've heard so many saying, I did this, maine ye kiya. It's not about like television, all about, what do you have to, what's the message for those people who say, it's I, instead of saying we?
Yeah. Television is a we. There is no I. Be it cameraman, be it your driver. Your driver is very important. He is a pilot.
Yes.
Before the cameraman, be good with the driver. The drivers are the pilot of your story. If your driver is bad, if he doesn't know the location, if he doesn't understand the timing of your story, you have lost your story. So in my career, in my profession, I have had the best, person who had his transport provided to us. Alex was one of them. He was half journalist. Why should I call half? He was a journalist. He knew the stories, he knew the timing, he knew what time we should, he knew how to chase the cars in the convoy. So it's a teamwork. It is not just it is not my story, it is a teamwork story, And when the driver is leading us to that position, his work ends there, then the cameraman takes over, then the reporter takes over. So it's a chain. It's a chain it's a chain that makes the story, put the story together. So I cannot be a term, especially in television. In print it is easy. For me, it was very difficult when I came to television. In print it was my story, I would always say it's my story, my byline, my story. And also there is no one to interfere in my story. I'm writing what I'm hearing and what I analyze. But in television it is not. So the cameraman is telling me, Asani, do this frame, do that frame. So there I used to feel little interference. But then I realized it's a we team.
It's a teamwork, because you have a video editor, you have a lot of guys sitting
absolutely.
in the PCR.
Till the output, everything, it's a teamwork. Right from the assignment to the final output, it's a teamwork.
Yeah.
Without this team, no story will be on air.
Ma'am, this is a very personal question from my side. Since you have been in this industry for almost 26 plus years, can a journalist be an activist?
Personally, I don't feel. I feel journalists should not be an activist. There is a very thin line between a journalist and activist. Because your aggression will take you to a higher level, to a next level. So our school of journalism has taught us to be fair to both sides, get both the reactions. Both sides have to speak. Leave the rest to the viewers. We are telling the viewers, this is what I have brought for you. This is what I have heard. So you're telling the viewers. So leave the story to the viewers. Of course, there are some analytical, aspects that are required, but you have to be very careful not to be part of the. Don't become the story. Don't become part of the story. The story is something else which we are trained. We have learned the craft to deliver the story, to deliver it to the viewer. The viewer will decide news whether it is worth for my consumption, or if there is something more I need to know. So it is left to the viewer. So why do you want to force your opinion? Why do you want to be one-sided in what you are giving? So I have always maintained that activism and journalism are two different things. Too much of aggression may lead to activism, but don't stop questioning. Questioning is a journalist's right.
So you mean to say a journalist's job is to report as you see?
Yes, report as you see. Report as you see, and also to report the truth. And that is also debatable. How do you define the truth? How far is the truth? How far that truth fits into your organization? How is this truth good for your organization, and this truth is not good for his organization? That is also a dilemma that the journalists are going through. So right now the simplest thing is to give two sides of the story and tell the people that this is what has happened, this is what I'm telling you.
Ma'am, since you are from broadcasting, there's a lot of big transformation from the big cameras. We came to DSLR, now mobile.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you see the future of mobile journalism?
This is a new media, I think. It's. I think this is here to stay. Mobile journalism and all this simplified journalism with technology is here to stay. But you need professional hands on that also. You can't just. It's not a video game where you bring out some content and say this is news. So you need professional hands, you need trained journalists to handle this technology. So it is important that it is in the right hands. If this WhatsApp news story is happening, if there is a Zoom live is happening, so the button should be in the right hand of a journalist. So this is important, a journalist will be able to utilize technology, and the journalists need to update themselves with the new technology and upcoming technology, so that they deliver their product with sincerity and honesty.
Ma'am, last question. Since you have taken the in charge of Karnataka Media Academy as a chairperson, what are your plan of action now? What you have decided to do? This is what I'm going to start working on.
Yeah, I have a lot of dreams for Media Academy. I don't know, I'm like really nervous. I have to work on a lot of things. Once the committee sits down, we will come out with ideas from a lot of journalists, and especially we will take advice from our previous presidents who are very experienced and who have taken the academy to a higher level. So we will take their advice also. We'll be meeting them. Then the entire executive committee will sit together. More members have to be added to this committee. Then I have ideas to make this academy more academic oriented. Besides besides the role that is mentioned in the bylaws, I also want to bring in youngsters. I also have a dream to do something finishing course for the youngsters who come out from industry, like internship courses. So we need to work on those things. We need funds for that. So this is one biggest challenge that we need. If you have money, if you have funds, you can if you are given free hand, you can do a lot of things. So I wish to do those besides the other activities, recognizing the journalists, awarding, the journalists. These are all the activities. And also I want to, help the rural journalists acquaint with the technology. They should also know more of technology. The people sitting somewhere in Chikkodi, somewhere in Gangavati should be as professional as somebody trained in Bangalore. So those things, I want to take it to a higher level. These have been happening through workshops and seminars, but I want to make it more practical. I want to give more focus on practical aspects of journalism.
Ma'am, our message to the upcoming journalists who have that passion towards journalism, who wants to make their career out of journalism, who think journalism can also be a fantastic profession. What's the message for them, ma'am?
Journalism is one of the best professions, fantastic and best professions, and brilliant people are in this field. So you can also be brilliant stars if you take up this profession with dedication, with commitment, with passion. Actually, passion is very important. This is my story, this is my work. I stand by this story, and also the fact that report this story in a fair manner. Fairness is very important. Don't fall for temptations. Of course, private channels, including me, have benefited with the good pays and good pay packets. Of course, this is there. We all look for our bread and butter, but keep those temptations, grounded. Keep those temptations at a lower level, and put your journalistic passion higher than that. So with good pay packets, look for that also. I'm not saying that you just sit at home and do something, click a picture and do a story. So look for good packets also. There are good media houses. That's also important. But keep your passion impact. Make journalism fair, and look at both sides of the story. This is very simple. If you look at both sides of the story, you get facts. So stick to the facts, and you are a star.
Well, thank you very, very much for giving us a very precious time from your side, because I know you're very busy.
Thank you so much, Abu. Thank you so much. Lovely talking to you. Thanks for this. Thank you so much.
Great honor,
Hope we get more cameramen in the field, like you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.